Good afternoon, radio fans. Big Al here on this Thursday, August 21st, 2025, and welcome in to another look at radio ratings from major markets from across the country. And today we'll be taking a look at the number 4, 5, and 6 markets in the country. So these are the July ratings for Dallas-Fort Worth, San Francisco, and Houston-Galveston. And with that, like, comment, and subscribe to my channel. Ring the bell and get notified every time I go live. And here we go. Starting off with the number 4 market in the country, which is Dallas-Fort Worth, Texas. And looking at the top 10 as a whole, you have 4 iHeart radio stations in the top 10. You have 3 Cumulus stations. In fact, they occupy the top 3 spots in the DFW ratings for July. You have a pair of Odyssey stations, and you have one from Televisa Univision. That's your top 10 overlook. Now let's get into the ratings. Again, Cumulus is 1, 2, and 3 in the Dallas-Fort Worth market for July. And their country stations are the top 2. Beginning with KPLX 99.5 The Wolf. They went up from a 5.3 to a 5.4 with a cumulative audience of 866,800. In second place is their sister country station, New Country 96.3 KSCS. They're also up from 5.0 to 5.2 and a cumulative audience of 669,200. In third place is another Cumulus property, and that's Sports Talker, Sports Radio 1310 and 96.7 The Ticket, which is KTCK AM 1310 and KTCK FM 96.7. They fell to third place, dropping from 5.1 to 4.7, and they have a cumulative audience of 296,600. So again, the top 3 stations in the Dallas-Fort Worth market are ran by Cumulus Media. Fourth place is where you'll find the area's highest rated Spanish station, and that's Odyssey's regional Mexican station, La Grande 107.5 KMVK, jumping up a little more than half a point from 3.8 to 4.4. And they have a cumulative audience of 398,900. Fifth place is where you'll find the first iHeart radio station on the ratings, and that's Classic Rocker Lone Star 92.5 KZPS, moving up from 4.0 to 4.3, and a cumulative audience of 725,300. iHeart Radio's sister Hot AC station, Mix 102.9 KDMX, takes the number 6 spot, dropping from 4.5 to 4.2, and a cumulative audience of 956,000. Then in 7th place is another iHeart radio station, Adult Contemporary Star 102.1 KDGE, also down from 4.3 to 4.1. And the highest cumulative audience of any Dallas-Fort Worth station at 1,061,000. They are actually tied for 7th in the ratings with Odyssey's 100.3 Jack FM KJKK, which also went down from 4.4 to 4.1, and they have a cumulative audience of 843,200. Coming in 9th place is iHeart Radio's top 40 station, 106.1 KISS FM KHKS, inching up from 3.9 to 4.0, and a cumulative audience of 910,700. And rounding out the top 10 is Televisa Univision's regional Mexican station, Cape Bueno 94.1 KLNO, up from 3.4 to 3.8, and a cumulative audience of 476,200. Outside the top 10, you have a tie for 11th place with North Texas Public Broadcasting's NPR news station, KERA 90.1, and Service Broadcasting's hip-hop station, K104, KKDA FM. Both sit at a 3.6. KERA took a bit of a drop from 4.3 to 3.6, with a cumulative audience of 387,700, while K104 moved up from 3.2 to 3.6, and a cumulative audience of 619,800. That's followed by Service Broadcasting's adult R&B station, Smooth R&B 105.7 KRNB FM, down from 3.7 to 3.4, cumulative audience of 531,400. So this would put them 13th. 14th place is Odyssey's alternative station, Alt 1037 KVIL, slipping from 3.2 to 3.1, cumulative audience of 554,200. In 15th place is Urban One hip hop station 97.9 The Beat KBFB, up from 2.8 to 2.9 with a cumulative audience of 511,300, and they are in a three-way tie for 15th with Odyssey Sports Station 105.3 The Fan KRLD FM, which is the Dallas Cowboys and Texas Rangers flagship, and its sister classic hits station 98.7 The Spot KSPF. The Fan rose from 2.6 to 2.9 with a cumulative audience of 383,100, while 98.7 The Spot took a dip from 3.1 to 2.9 and a cumulative audience of 860,000. So all three of those stations are tied for 15th. In 18th place is the new K-Love affiliate in Dallas-Fort Worth, which is KLTY 94.9. They're down from 2.7 to 2.6 with a cumulative audience of 552,700, placing them 18th. EMF's sister station, 101.7 Air 1 KYDA, holds steady at a 2.2, placing them in 19th place, with a cumulative audience of 311,100. And then rounding out the top 20 is First Dallas Media's contemporary Christian station, 90.9 KCBI FM, which is up from 2.0 to 2.1. Cumulative audience of 340,100. And then going further down the list is Televisa Univision's Spanish contemporary station, or stations in this case, Latino Mix 107.9 and 107.1, which is heard on KDXX 107.9 in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, and on KESS 107.1 in western portions of the Metroplex. This station took a hit, dropping from 2.5 to 1.9 with a cumulative audience of 391,500. Next is Mediacol's Spanish adult hit station, Luna 98.3 KBOC. They're up from 1.5 to 1.8 with a cumulative audience of 245,900, and they are in a tie with Urban One's adult R&B station, Magic 94.5 KZMJ, and Mediacol's regional Mexican station, La Ranchera 106.7 KZZA, all at a 1.8. Magic 94.5 slipped from 1.9 to 1.8 with a cumulative audience of 294,500, while La Ranchera rose from 1.7 to 1.8 and a cumulative audience of 206,900. Next up is iHeartRadio's rock station 97.1 The Eagle KEGL, which basically switched spots with La Ranchera, moving down from 1.8 to 1.7. Cumulative audience of 445,600. Now, this is the third run as the Eagle for 97.1. Up next is Hope Media's contemporary Christian station 89.7 Way FM, which is KAWA. They're up 1.3 to 1.6 with a cumulative audience of 222,000. Next, you have Classical 101 WRR FM, owned technically by the city of Dallas, but operated by North Texas Public Broadcasting. They hold steady at a 1.3 with a cumulative audience of 253,300. That's followed by Odyssey News and Talk Station, News Radio 1080 KRLD AM, holding steady at a 1.2 and a cumulative audience of 170,000. Its competing news talk station from Cumulus, News Talk 820 and 93.3 WBAP AM and FM, holds steady at a 1.1, and they have a slightly larger cumulative audience than KRLD at 205,100. Then you have North Texas Public Broadcasting's adult album alternative station, KKXT 91.7, holding steady at a 1.0, and a cumulative audience of 159,500. Then you have another Media Co station, Regional Mexican La Raza 93.7 KNOR. They don't move either. They hold steady at a 0.9 and a cumulative audience of 177,500. Then you have alternative station Indy 88.1 KNTU FM from the University of North Texas, which is located in Denton. That's north of Dallas. They're down from a 1.0 to a 0.8 and a cumulative audience of 250,100. That's followed by the online stream of 105.3 The Fan, down from 0.6 to 0.5. And then Salem Media Group's conservative talker, 660 AM The Answer, KSKY, is up from 0.4 to 0.5. Cumulative audience of 70,700. Then is Cumulus News Talker 570 KLIF, up from 0.2 to 0.3. And a cumulative audience of 53,600. Then you have the online streams of both KMVK La Grande 107.5 on HD1 and its HD2 sub-channel Fierro, which plays Tejano music, both coming in at a 0.3. Zona MX 99.1 KFZO is up from 0.1 to 0.2 and a cumulative audience of 74,900. This is the regional Mexican station from the Latino Media Network. Then you got the online stream of 660 AM The Answer at 0.2, tied with Salem Media's religious talk station, The Word 100.7 FM KWRD. They're up from 0.1 to 0.2 with a cumulative audience of 40,600. Next is the religious talk format of KCBI HD2's All Teaching Channel, which is at a 0.1 and a cumulative audience of 9,500. This station is owned by First Dallas Media. All right, iHeartRadio's Spanish AC station, Magic, which is heard on KDGE HD2, is steady at a 0.1 with a cumulative audience of 19,500. Their alternative station, The Edge 97.1 HD2, which is heard on KEGL HD2, is at 0.1. Cumulative audience of 29,600. Next is Smart Radio Daytime Gospel Station KGGR 1040 AM, which is steady at a 0.1, and a cumulative audience of 23,300. Joey's in the house. What's poppin', my brother? That's followed by iHeartRadio's BIN 1630, which is a black-oriented news station. This is KKGM AM. They register at a 0.1 and a cumulative audience of only 15,800. BIN programming is also heard in Dallas-Fort Worth on KHVN 970, which didn't register. Alright, Odyssey's Fierro, which is Tejano music on KMV KHD2, registers at a 0.1 with a cumulative audience of 9,300. Then you have the online stream of its sister alternative station, Alt 1037, also at a 0.1. Alright. You have one station, another on an HD2 sub-channel, and an online stream that did not register in July, including iHeartRadio's Talk Radio 1190 KFXR, which had a cumulative audience of 6,900. The online stream of Odyssey's 100.3 Jack FM, and Odyssey's Smooth Jazz Station 1037 HD2, The Oasis, heard on KVIL HD2. Neither of those stations registered in the DFW Metroplex for July. All right, moving on to market number 5, we have the San Francisco radio market. And despite taking a 1.5 point drop, Northern California Public Broadcasting's NPR station, 88.5 KQED FM, is still the top dog in the Bay. They do fall from 11.3 to 9.8, with a cumulative audience of 632,600. In second place is Odyssey News Station, All News 106.9 and 740 KCBS. Excuse me, had to get that out. That would be KCBS 740 AM and KFRC 106.9 FM. After 2 straight months at 7.2, they jumped a point in July to 8.2, with a cumulative audience of 691,400. In third place, you have Bonneville's Adult Contemporary Station, 96.5 KOIT, down from 6.5 to 6.1. Cumulative audience of 1,064,400. Coming in fourth place is Classical California KDFC, which is owned by the University of Southern California in Los Angeles. They take the number 4 spot, moving up from 4.3 to 4.9 with a cumulative audience of 256,500. Then you have a tie for 5th place with iHeartRadio's Soft AC 98.1 The Breeze KISQ and Odyssey's Hot Adult Contemporary Station Alice at 97.3 KLLC. Both stations moved up in July. The Breeze went from 3.9 to 4.2 with a cumulative audience of 832,300, while Alice went from 3.4 to 4.2 and a cumulative audience of 699,500. So both stations are tied for 5th place in the San Francisco market. Coming in at number 7 is Bonneville CHR station 99.7 Now, KMVQ, up from 3.1 to 3.5 with a cumulative audience of 674,000. In 8th place is iHeartRadio's Hot AC Star 101.3 KIOI. They took a dip from 3.6 to 3.3. Cumulative audience of 588,300. 9th place is their sister Classic Hits station, Classic Hits 103.7 KOSF, down from 3.6 to 3.2. Cumulative audience of 451,600. Rounding out the top 10 is Odyssey Alternative Station Live 105 KITS, dropping from 3.6 to 3.0, and a cumulative audience of 533,100. This ties them for 10th place with iHeartRadio's hip hop station 106.1 KMEL, which went up from 2.8 to 3.0, and a cumulative audience of 597,300. In 12th place is iHeartRadio's Top 40, Wild 94.9 KYLD, holding steady at a 2.7. Cumulative audience of 658,900. Then you have Cumulus Sports Station, KNBR 680 and 104.5. Down from a 3.0 to a 2.5. In fact, they decline in the ratings for the 3rd month in a row. And the cumulative audience for KNBR is 387,800. KNBR is the San Francisco 49ers and San Francisco Giants flagship station. Next is Cumulus Classic Rocker 107.7 The Bone KSAN, which is down from 2.7 to 2.5. Cumulative audience of 449,300. And this, I think, is the FM flagship of the 49ers. 107.7 The Bone is tied with the competing classic rocker in the Bay Area, and that's San Jose-based Bonneville station 98.5 KFOX, KUFX, which is also down from 2.8 to 2.5 with a cumulative audience of 350,800. Next is Spanish Broadcasting System's 93.3 La Raza, KRZZ-FM, which plays regional Mexican music. They're up from 1.7 to 2.1. Cumulative audience of 237,800. Then you have Bonneville's adult R&B station 102.9 KBLX, dropping half a point from 2.4 to 1.9. Cumulative audience of 414,200. And they are tied with Televisa Univision's Amor 100.3 KBRG. This is another station out of San Jose. They play Spanish adult hits. They're up from 1.8 to 1.9 with a cumulative audience of 318,500. Their sister regional Mexican simulcast of 98.9 and 99.1 Cubana, which is heard in San Francisco and Oakland on KSOL 98.9, and in San Jose on KSQL 99.1. They slipped slightly from 1.8 to 1.7 and a cumulative audience of 223,500. San Francisco's local K-Love station, 107.3 KLVS, is up from 1.5 to 1.6 with a cumulative audience of 225,500. And then you have another tie between Odyssey's classic hip-hop station, 102.1 Jams, KRBQ, and Cumulus Conservative Talker, 810 KSFO. Now, this was the old KGO radio. Both are down from 1.6 to 1.5. 102.1 Jams has a cumulative audience of 389,400, while KSFO has a cumulative audience of 103,400. Next, you have a pair of San Jose stations. Hot Adult Contemporary Mix 106.5 KEZR, which is steady at a 1.4 and a cumulative audience of 310,000. And its sister country station, Bay Country 94.5 KBAY, they're up from 1.2 to 1.3, cumulative audience of 236,600. Both stations are owned by Alpha Media, which is soon to become Connoisseur Media. Televisa Univision's Rhythmic CHR Latino Mix 105.7 KVVF, which broadcasts to San Francisco and San Jose, and KVVZ 100.7, which covers Oakland, holds steady at a 1.1, cumulative audience of 189,000. Next is Public News and Talk Station 91.7 KALW from San Francisco Unified School District. They're up from 0.8 to 0.9, cumulative audience of 81,600. They are tied with Odyssey Sports Station 95.7 The Game, KGMZ, which is the Golden State Warriors flagship. They are down from 1.1 to 0.9. They are struggling right now. Cumulative audience of 137,900. Next up, you have San Mateo County Community College Jazz Station, Jazz 91 KCSM, which is up from 0.5 to 0.8, and a cumulative audience of 164,600. Then you have Amatoro Sonoma Media's Adult Contemporary Station, 100.1 KZST, which is at a 0.6, registering for the first time, cumulative audience of 119,000, and its sister classic rocker 97.7 The River KVRV, which also registers for the first time at 0.5, cumulative audience of 60,500. Adult album alternative station KEXP Bay Area, which is KEXC 92.7 FM, which is owned by the Friends of KEXP, which broadcasts the same format in Seattle. They're up from 0.3 to 0.4 with a cumulative audience of 44,500. Next is the online stream of 107.7 The Bone, which is at 0.4. Alpha, soon to be Connoisseur Media Hot AC Station 95.3 KUIC, I should say, is down from 0.5 to 0.4, cumulative audience of 100,800. And then you have Amatoro Sonoma Media's country station, Froggy 92.9 KFGY, which is at a 0.3, and a cumulative audience of 50,100. And its sister top 40 station, Hot 101.7 KHTH, also at a 0.3, both registering for the first time. They have a cumulative audience of 40,800. They have Alpha Media's Hot AC station, 101.7 KKIQ, which is primarily heard in the East Valley. They're up from 0.2 to 0.3, cumulative audience of 90,900. Then you have the online stream of KNBR 104.5 and 680, also at a 0.3. Then it's the online stream of All News 106.9 and 740 KCBS at a 0.2. Followed by the online stream of Jazz 91, also at a 0.2. Then the top 40 dance and EDM format of Channel Q, which is heard on KLLCHD2, is up to 0.2, with a cumulative audience of 41,200. Then you have Bonneville's rhythmic AC station, Old School 102.9, heard on KBLX HD2. They hold steady at a 0.1, cumulative audience of 38,500. Then Adult Album Alternative Station, Highway 1 Radio, heard on KOIT HD2, is also at a 0.1, with a cumulative audience of 18,300. That's followed by the online stream of 810 KSFO at a 0.1. Then Amatoro Sonoma Media's News Talker, KSRO, registers for the first time at 0.1 and a cumulative audience of 10,200. Next is Classical California, KUSC, which is heard in Los Angeles on KUSC 91.5 FM, registers in San Francisco at a 0.1 and a cumulative audience of 6,400. Now, the University of Southern California also runs KDFC, the local classical station in San Francisco, as well as San Jose's classical station at 104.9. Not registering are Odyssey's. Technically, that should be iHeartRadio's Pride Radio, heard on KIOI HD2. Cumulative audience 13,900. BIN 910 KKSF AM, which is the Black-oriented news station from iHeartRadio. They have a cumulative audience of 22,200. And Cumulus Sports Station and ESPN radio affiliate for San Francisco, that's KTCT, also known as KNBR 1050. They didn't register either. They have a cumulative audience of 30,300. All right, we're going to wrap this video up with a look at the number 6 market in the country, Houston-Galveston. And it looks like iHeartRadio's Sunny 99.1 KODA, with its adult contemporary format, continues to have a small lead in the Houston market. They did drop from 7.3 to 7.2. with a cumulative audience of 1,841,800. In second place is locally based Hope Media's 89.3 KSBJ, which is a contemporary Christian station. They come in second, dropping from 7.1 to 6.9 and a cumulative audience of 648,600. And then you have 3 Urban One stations back to back to back. In third place is adult R&B station Magic 102.1 KMJQ, holding steady at a 6.5. Cumulative audience of 764,600. So Magic takes the third spot. The number 4 spot goes to the classic rock simulcast of KGLK 107.5 and KHPT 106.9 The Eagle, which is up from 5.4 to 6.0. Cumulative audience of 982,100 across the 2 frequencies. And then coming in at number 5 is Urban One's country station 93Q KKBQ-FM, holding steady at a 5.2. Cumulative audience of 860,900. At number 6 is News Radio's 740 KTRH from iHeartRadio, up from 4.6 to 4.7. Cumulative audience of 364,400. And they will broadcast some Astros games on this station. 7th place is iHeartRadio's active rock and alternative hybrid 94.5 The Buzz KTBZ, which took a half-point dive from 4.9 to 4.4. Cumulative audience of 701,200. So the Buzz takes 7th. In 8th place is Cumulus Heritage Top 40 Station 104.1 KRBE, up from 3.6 to 4.3. Cumulative audience of 841,300. 9th place is Odyssey's Adult Hit Station 95.7 The Spot. KKHH, up half a point from 3.4 to 3.9. Cumulative audience of 969,600. And then rounding out the top 10 is iHeartRadio's hip hop station 93.7 The Beat, KQBT, dropping from 4.1 to 3.8. Cumulative audience of 655,200. On the outside of the top 10 is Houston Public Media's News 88.7 KUHF. This is the local NPR news station in Houston. They're up from 3.3 to 3.4 with a cumulative audience of 267,900, good for 11th place. In 12th place is Televisa Univision's Amor 106.5 KOVE, which is a Spanish adult hit station. They fall half a point from 3.8 to 3.3, cumulative audience of 509,000. 13th place is Urban One's 97.9 The Box, the long-running hip-hop station KBXX, dropping from 3.4 to 3.2, cumulative audience of 599,600. This ties them with Spanish Broadcasting System's La Ley 92.1 KROI, which plays regional Mexican music. They're also down from 3.3 to 3.2. Cumulative audience of 437,000, tying the two stations for 13th. Next up is Odyssey Hot AC Station Mix 96.5 KHMX, down from 3.4 to 3.1, cumulative audience of 899,100. Its sister country station, 100.3 The Bull, KILT FM, is down from 3.2 to 2.9. Cumulative audience of 648,800. They are tied with their sister Spanish Top 40 station, Mega 101, KLOL FM, down from 3.0 to 2.9. Cumulative audience of 555,700. Next up is Televisa Univision's regional Mexican station, Cubano 102.9 KLTN FM, up from 2.3 to 2.6. Cumulative audience of 426,800. And then tying at 2.1 are the two Mediaco regional Mexican stations. You've got El Norte 107.9 KQQK, which is assigned technically to Beaumont but covers the Houston area. They're down from 2.4 to 2.1 and a cumulative audience of 404,300. And then its sister regional Mexican station, La Raza 98.5 and 101.7 KTJM, is down as well from 2.2 to 2.1. Cumulative audience of 289,200. Then you have Televisa Univision Spanish Top 40 station, Latino Mix 104.9 KAMA. They're up from 1.1 to 1.4, cumulative audience of 350,100. They are tied with iHeartRadio sports station KBME Sports Talk 790. This is the Houston Astros and Houston Rockets flagship. They're up from 1.1 to 1.4 and a cumulative audience of 210,000. And tying them with EMF's 97.1 K-Love, KLVH, up from 0.8 to 1.4. Cumulative audience of 194,000. Next up is Hope Media's Vida Unida, KHVUFL, which I think is 91.7. They're up from 0.9 to 1.2, cumulative audience of 148,000. They are tied with Jazz Station 90.9 The Choice, KTSU from Texas Southern University, which is steady at a 1.2, and a cumulative audience of 169,300. Then you got Odyssey Sports Station and Houston Texans flagship KILT AM Sports Radio 610, up from 0.9 to 1.1, cumulative audience of 160,900. Below them is Houston Christian Broadcasters flagship religious station 105.7 KHCB FM, down from 1.0 to 0.9. Cumulative audience of 74,400. That's followed by iHeartMedia Talk Station 950 KPRC, down from 0.6 to 0.5, and a cumulative audience of 74,100. And then Houston's local Air 1 station, 103.7 KHJK, holds steady at a 0.4, cumulative audience of 100,200. King Broadcasting's regional Mexican stations, Soul Radio 101.7, which is heard on KHPT HD3, drops half a point from 0.9 to 0.4, with a cumulative audience of 69,900. Then the local Pacifica Foundation station in Houston is KPFT 90.1, holding steady at a 0.4, cumulative audience of 87,800. Next up is HPM Classical. This is the classical station from Houston Public Media, heard on KUHF HD2. They're stuck at 0.3, cumulative audience of 20,700. Then you have the online streams of Mix 96.5, Soul Radio 101.7 on KHPT HD3, and Mega 101, all coming in at a 0.2. Then it's iHeartRadio's BIN 1320 KXYZ, down from 0.3 to 0.2, cumulative audience of 27,400. The online stream of 105.7 KHCB checks in at a 0.1. Also, the online streams of Odyssey stations Sports Radio 610 and 95.7 The Spot also registered at 0.1. The online stream of Urban One's Praise 102.1, which is heard on KMJQHD2, is also at a 0.1. Not registering for July, you have Community Radio's Christian Country Station 90.5 KJIC with a cumulative audience of 11,900. Odyssey Tejano Station Fiero HD, heard on KLOL HD2 and based out of Dallas with a cumulative audience of 14,300. And Televisa Univision's Spanish sports station TUDN Radio 1010 and 93.3, which is heard on KLAT 1010 and KQBU 93.3. They also didn't register. And that is a look at the July ratings for Dallas-Fort Worth, San Francisco, and Houston. In our next installment, we'll look at markets 7, 8, and 9. So we'll be zeroing in on the July ratings for Atlanta, Washington, D.C., and Philadelphia. So make sure you join me for that. In the meantime, like, comment, and subscribe to my channel. Ring the bell and get notified every time I go live. Big Al signing off. Thanks for watching and happy listening. Peace out.